That's going to show up as a black box in the recording, right?
No, it just shows up as you in the tiny video of you in the top right-hand corner, but your slides are really big.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I didn't need to minimize it.
Nope.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, why we've stopped programming a number of sets for our clients. And here's why. Maybe, not definitely, but maybe you should too. I'm Chris Merritt. I am one of the co-founders of Strength Faction with Todd Bumgardner. And then, I don't know, maybe a year in, I don't even know if it was a full year, but we brought on Mike Connolly and doing this since 2015. But on top of that, I started what was formerly called Beyond Strength Performance Nova. We love long names if you haven't caught on. But that is what was a semi-private personal training gym located in Dulles, Virginia. Started that in October of 2011. And then since, I don't even know anymore, summer of 2014, I've been managing the human performance program of a full-time federal tactical law enforcement group. And previous to COVID shutting the world down, I was traveling North America presenting program design, doing continuing education for Equinox. So only makes sense that my first presentation, I'd be talking about something to do with program design. And over the next 60 minutes, I don't know that this is really going to go 60 minutes, but over the course of my presentation, here's what I want to help you solve. If you've ever been frustrated by clients who manage to take what should be a 1 hour workout and turn it into 75 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours, maybe longer. We've had all of those folks in our gym. We're going to talk about how to get in front of that. Clients who just seem like they're going through the motions. One of my biggest pet peeves. I go back and forth where I'm like, well, you know, at least they're here. At least they're doing something. It's better than doing nothing. But it's like, no, come on. You're taking the time to get ready, come over to the gym and do this. Like, let's put some intensity into it. And clients that always seem to prioritize chatting with you or other gym goers over training hard. And again, it's just not conducive to their goals. I don't know about you guys, but that's not why I want to coach. I'm not there to just do small talk with people all day. And then this fourth one is one that I think a lot of people, maybe they don't care about it as much as I do, but I think it's really, really important. And I get really frustrated by people that call a cheesesteak a steak and cheese. These people are the worst. And I can't help you with that today, but maybe during the Q&A, if you guys have any solutions as to why these people are so wrong, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Okay.
Or maybe from Philadelphia.
What?
Are you from Philadelphia?
We're from Pennsylvania. We just know better.
No, I know, but I feel like that. I just assume that's correlated with somebody from Philly. I guess I forget that Pennsylvania is a place and that it's not just Philadelphia.
So
sorry, guys.
No. I love it. We get these debates going in the gym, and this was a debate that like people took hard stances on. So I thought I'd throw a little laugh in here to begin with. But
it nearly ended friendships.
It ended friendships. But in all seriousness, those top three things, I want to present something today that's going to help you to solve those things and a lot more as we're about to talk about. But before I jump into it, I have to make a confession. And anyone that's been sitting here for the last half hour or so with the small talk that we've been doing, I alluded to the fact that I've kind of grown out of love with my business. I started this in 2011. And I remember when this business, because I mentioned a few, being what was called Beyond Strength Performance Nova, it's now called Beyond Strength. I'm in love with Beyond Strength. I completely fell out of love with Beyond Strength Performance Nova. And if we go back to 2011, when I first opened it, it was the typical, I wore every hat in the business. I was the maintenance guy. I was the janitor. I was the coach. I was the program designer, facility designer. I mean, you name it, like anything that needed done. I did the books, although that should have never happened. I wish I had a presentation like Brendan's to help me get my own personal finances and the business finances and everything in order. But I digress. I did all of those things. And so I was incredibly busy, but I was also incredibly passionate about what I was doing. And even though I was there to open the gym at 5:45 for 6 a.m. sessions, and we wrapped up about 7 or 8 p.m. depending on the day, there were many, many, many nights where when the gym closed, I would just sit down on the floor and I would look around at this little 1,100 square foot facility. But I would just not shit there. I would just sit there and I would look around and I would just be like, I can't believe that I get to do this. And I was having so much fun. And of course, things evolve. You change as a person. And some of that change for us looked like the gym getting really busy, growing a lot and moving into a bigger facility and just slowly changing over time. And without getting too far into the weeds of what all the changes were, the biggest thing was that I grew to really, really dislike the energy of the gym. I would walk in. I wasn't on the floor coaching. Todd wasn't on the floor coaching for probably at least the past year. I think it's maybe been a little bit longer. For me, I was pretty much off the floor coaching since 2017. And I would come in and I would be frustrated at one word, energy. And we spent a lot of time thinking of like, well, what is it? Like, we thought our trainers need to do more to drive the energy. Like, you know what? The facility's too big. It's hard to create energy with a space this big and seeing so few people. And I was just having a hard time figuring it out. But August 20th of 2018, I didn't plan on this being my morning journal entry, but I'll often sit down in the mornings to write. Sometimes it's just, gratitude journaling. Sometimes it's an idea. Sometimes I vent onto paper. And on this particular morning, and it's real, like I actually have it sitting right here on my notebook. I look at it often. I just wrote this question at the top of the sheet. What if we could go back and redesign the whole training system of the gym? And what spilled out onto the pages kind of surprised even me. When I was done writing it, I like reread it and reread it again and reread it again. And I don't know if it was that exact day, but like soon after I said to Todd, I was like, hey man, like I wrote something down. And it wasn't a crazy surprise to him because we had a small thing going at the time with a program and stuff that we were doing in Strength Faction. But I was pretty much like, I wish we were running a business like this. And we both were like, yeah, that would be awesome. And both of us talked about reasons why, like, I don't even know if I want to say reasons that it wouldn't work where we currently were, but we were just kind of like, yeah, maybe that would be like a different facility one day, or it like maybe our group programming turns into like an option that has more days a week like that. But it just kind of lived in the land of nice ideas and kind of sucks because here's some of what that journal entry did. It solved the 3 problems that I talked about to kick this presentation off. People who manage to stretch an hour-long workout into 2, clients who seem like they're just going through the motions, and clients that always seem to prioritize chatting with you or other gym goers over training hard. But those aren't the only problems that it solved. It also solved this problem: too much time spent programming. At the time that I wrote it, I was still doing, I think I was back to doing all of the programming for the gym again. And it was a lot. Like I don't remember, I did have it tracked at one point how many hours it was a week of program design, but entirely too much. So of course that weighed heavily on me too whenever I was writing the journal entry, and what I wrote out solved that. And this one might surprise you. Like, why in the world would I have a picture of CrossFit, F45, Orange Theory Fitness, and Soul Cycle on here? And you're seeing the answer slowly appear here on the screen. I've been incredibly jealous of not just these businesses, but the group fitness model. Now, before you sign off and go like, nope, I'm with you. All of the issues of quality in these training programs, I don't want any of that. But what I'm incredibly jealous of is the amount of energy that they create. And let's be honest, that's why these programs are so incredibly successful. I do all of the client intake for the gym. And over the years, I can't tell you how many times people have come from maybe not Soul Cycle. I don't even know if we have one around us, but Orange Theory Fitness and CrossFit, especially for us. F45 is very new in our area, but I think we're going to see the same thing from them, that people would sit down with me, and specifically Orange Theory, like this is a quote, like almost word for word from multiple people. And it made me go, like what in the world is going on here? People would say, I was training over at Orange Theory Fitness and I absolutely loved it. The coaches are amazing. You see, it's just that there's so many people in the classes that they weren't able to really help me. I wasn't sure if I was doing things correctly. And I'm like, wait, say that again slower. The coaches are amazing, but there were so many people in the classes that I was never really sure. They weren't able to coach me, and I wasn't really sure if I was doing things correctly. And then, oftentimes it's like, and I got injured and this, that, the other thing. But it wasn't once. The first time I heard it, I just joked with the person. I was like, but that's not coaching. Like, say what you just said again. That's not coaching. But I started to lose track of how many times people would come in and say something along those lines. Previous to that, we really don't see this anymore. I don't know if CrossFit's dying or what. I'm not here to make any claim of that. But previous to that, it was CrossFit. People would come over. The common pathway was that they were injured doing CrossFit. They heard that we were someone that could really help them with their form. And so they would come in, they would sign up, and they would openly state on intake, yeah, I just, my physical therapist or my chiropractor, whatever, recommended I come over to see you guys, to learn how to do things correctly so that I can get back to CrossFit. And I'm like, okay, well, I hope we can change your mind about that. And unfortunately, there were many times where we couldn't change their mind about that because the energy of these programs are so awesome that people gravitate towards it. And for years, it's been on my mind of like, well, how do we do both? How do we have quality training programs that put people in the best position to be successful and yet deliver the energy of these powerhouse fitness, 3 out of 4 franchises and another one's a licensing. But how do we kind of blend the two? And what I wrote in the journal was the beginnings of starting to solve that problem as well. But as I alluded to, August 20th, 2018, it just lived in the land of nice ideas, sitting in a journal, sitting on a bookshelf here in my office. Well, actually, not even just here. This was previous to me moving into this place. It's traveled with me. And I would read it and I would just go, wouldn't that be nice? But as of Monday, we'll go back. Things happened from that previous to Monday, but as of Monday, we have everything that was in that journal entry and more, so much more, as the new Beyond Strength. So anyone that's familiar with our gym, formerly Beyond Strength Performance Nova, and there was like a jacked overhead pressing guy that was not at all representative of our clients, that's gone. And this is what we're doing today. And we hired an amazing photographer to come in and get these pictures. His name is Bum Todd Gardner. And he did a great job with these. Now, Todd took these pictures. It's credit goes to him. If you like this, you can try and hire him, but he's very, very expensive. So here's what, everything I just talked about solved. And we're not going to talk about all that today. I'm happy to, if during the Q&A, you guys have different questions of how it solved some of those different problems. But the main thing, as I said in the description, that I think is going to help all of you is this. If you look closely at this whiteboard, there are no prescribed numbers of sets on here, okay? So some of you might think like, so it's just a free-for-all and people just get after it. Well, not exactly. I think that we could all benefit from having a system that keeps our folks moving through the gym in a timely fashion, especially with COVID restrictions, now more than ever. Depending on where you are, you might still be limited to only being able to see a certain number of people an hour. And previous to making these changes, obviously we switched the whole gym model recently, but I think starting in December, we decided to switch the entire gym over to not quite what's on the whiteboard, but we dropped the number of sets from our programs. And instead, we took people through X number of minutes of power, core, and mobility, and then X number of minutes of their strength work, and then X number of minutes of assistance if they were doing it, and X number of minutes of conditioning if they were doing that, so that one, it would restrict people's time that they had to get through those things, because we had some folks who were like the frequent, going to the bathroom again, like, what are you doing in there? Or not paying attention to how long they were going because they were chatting with all their friends around them, which, don't get me wrong, I love that, but it's like, come on guys, we're here to work. And so it started to solve those problems. But also with COVID, we had some hours where it was like, what do we do? Like, we're only allowed to have so many people in the gym. And because some people were stretching their programs into 75 minutes or more, we would have these overlaps where we're like, ugh, and can't have that, right? But it also directs our clients' focus and intensity. And probably my favorite thing as a business owner is it simplifies the number of things that we need to manage as coaches and business owners. So here's how it breaks out. Essentially, our clients come in, I kind of skipped one thing. We warm up together. So our warm up takes almost 10 minutes on the dot. Then we gather in front of, for now, a whiteboard. But this isn't the only way that they're getting the program. They also have their program delivered to them through TrueCoach. And starting maybe as soon as next week, I have everything ordered. I'm just waiting on it to get here. We're going to have TVs in the gym that will have these dongles into them that will have whatever section of programming that we're currently on displayed on all of the TVs, so that folks don't need to gather around this whiteboard. Then beyond that, starting on March 29th, we're also going to have printed programs that look similar to what our programs have always looked like, with all of the choices on here. But for now, folks huddle around the whiteboard after we warm up, and we take about 5 minutes, and we would go over, like, if you look at this image, you have, green, yellow on the far left, strength A. There's A1, A2, A3. And then at the bottom, there's a second program that says blue, black. As of this past week, those were levels of our programming. We're actually just making it one blended program starting next week. But essentially, we have A1, A2, A3, and that's our power circuit. So it's power, it's some core, and it's some mobility. So we do 5 minutes, we huddle, we set up, we talk about that. Forgot that I zoomed in on it. And then we get after those things for 6 minutes. So the coach will say, hey guys, essentially for A1, we've got vertical jump, we've got dumbbell jump, we've got repeated vertical jump, and we're gonna be doing 5 reps. You're gonna pick the one that makes sense for you. We can go into more about how we make those decisions in a bit. Then we've got ball rollout bear, or ab wheel rollout, 8 to 10 reps, half kneeling T-spine rotation, 3 breaths per side. And we're going to go for 6 minutes. Now, it's not a free-for-all. We let people know, hey, so the intent of this section of training is power. So even beyond that, this is about getting your nervous system prepped for the strength work to come. So we're not racing through this. This is not conditioning. You should not feel tired. You should feel energized from this. So we still do give them a recommended range. We'll say, depending on the week, we'll say, hey guys, the goal today is 2 rounds. The goal today is 3 rounds of this. And then we'll throw out reminders during the 6 minutes. Hey guys, just about to wrap up minute 3, which means that you should probably be heading back around. You should be finishing up. Actually, let me go back. We're just finishing up minute 2, which means that you should probably be finishing up round 1. If you're not, that's okay. Don't freak out. We just want to make sure that you're understanding the pacing, and then keep reminding them throughout the session. So like I said, we started this all together on Monday. Previous to that, every single person's program reflected this, and it was written in about the recommendations of how many rounds to do. But that's how we're doing that. After they do their 6 minutes of power, core, and mobility, we gather back up in front of the whiteboard, 5-minute huddle, which includes a quick description of what's going on, asking people if they have any questions or concerns and if they know where they want to start. Then we cut them loose to set up, and then we give them a little bit of time to actually get a warm-up set or 2 in. And all that happens in about 5 minutes, right? Because it's like, you look, okay, goblet split squat, rear foot elevated split squat. Here's the different ways that you can load the rear foot elevated split squat. single arm TRX row, 3-point dumbbell row, single arm bent over row. Do you know where you want to start? And then half kneeling windmill, half kneeling lift. Do you know where you want to start? Any questions or concerns? Okay, let's go set up. Let's go get some warm up sets in. So it happens pretty quick. Then we're checking in. They have up to 5 minutes, but we'll be like, everyone ready? Nope, need another, 30 seconds, whatever. Okay, cool. Everyone's ready to roll. 3, 2, 1. We hit start. We crank the freaking music and we get after it for 15 minutes. Same thing. We'll give people, we'll do check-ins like, hey, should be finishing up with, say, depending on the week, should be finishing up your first round. It's okay if you're not. It's week 1. We're kind of feeling this thing out and teaching people how to pace it. Now, I said for power, it's 2 to 3 rounds that we're going for. With strength, we're guiding them by the week. So it's 15 minutes every single week. In week 1, we're telling most folks 4 rounds is the goal, which means, and I realize what I'm about to say doesn't add up perfectly, but it works out because they don't really need rest in that final one. So it's about every 4 minutes, you're back to the top. So you start, say that you chose a rear foot elevated goblet split squat. You knock out your 5 reps left leg, you knock out your 5 reps with your right leg, and then you choose to do a 3-point dumbbell row. You go knock out your 5 reps left arm, 5 reps right arm, and you didn't run right into it. After you got done with your split squats, you maybe took 30, 45 seconds. Then you went into that 5 on each side. And then same thing, take about 30, 45 seconds. You hit your half kneeling lift, 5 on each side. Again, you take a little bit of a break and then you go back to the top. So about every 4 minutes in week 1, we're going to get 4 rounds. Then in week 2, we're going to go volume accumulation, and we're going to go up to 5 rounds. So now about every 3 minutes, you should be back to the top, right? Then in week 3, we're going to drop and we're going to go more strength focused. So we're going to say the goal today for most folks is 3 rounds in 15 minutes, which means you can go heavier, you can rest longer, and about every 5 minutes, you should be back to the top of the circuit. And we'll give them RPEs as well. Whoops, didn't mean to hit advance there. And then in week 4, those that followed this have now experienced 3-minute rounds, 4-minute rounds, and 5-minute rounds. And that's where we can look at individuals based on their goals, based on their readiness, what's going on with them. To an extent, like, what do you want to do today? Do you want to get after it and stay heavy again this week and go 3-minute rounds? Do you want to kind of live in the middle, go 4-minute rounds? Or do you want to get some more volume in again this week and go for 5 rounds, right? So that's our strength. Then we huddle back up and we go over our assistance or our secondary strength, accessory work, core work. But we huddle up, same exact thing. We read off what the different movements are, make sure, any questions, comments, concerns, and then we cut people loose to go ahead and set up. And then once everyone is set, we're like, all right, 8 minutes on the clock. And for this, depending on the week, we're looking at anywhere from 2 to 3, maybe 4 rounds, but similar to the strength work. And then after we're done with that, we clean up our equipment and we hit the turf and we go through a 5-minute cool down as a group. And probably my favorite part of our 5-minute cool down, we all put our hands in towards the center. With COVID, we're not touching hands, but we all put our hands in towards the center. And there's usually something awkward that was said during the session, something funny that was said, and it will just be like, all right, hands in. And on 3, we're going to call out that thing. So I'm trying to remember what it was this week. Reach for your dreams. So I was playing some ridiculous cool down music. It was some type of like ambient, like, I don't know, heading off into meditative space. And our coach Greg was joking around with people. They were doing like child's pose with reach. And as they were reaching, he was matching his voice to this ambient music. And he was like, reach for your dreams. And so our awkward cool down on Friday morning was once people's hands were in, 3, 2, 1, he had them essentially whisper, reach for your dreams. So it's always something weird and awkward like that, but it gets people laughing and leaving cooled down, but also on a high note with a laugh. Now, when we did this, I was not fishing for compliments. a lot of thought went into this, and I realize you probably have a lot of questions. Don't worry, there's going to be time to go over those. I wasn't fishing for compliments. I didn't, this might sound insensitive, but I didn't care if everyone loved it. Didn't care if everyone loved it. I knew that this change was going to be best for our business, right? And one of the things that happened was a lot of people were critical of this come Monday morning, because for those of you that aren't familiar with Beyond Strength Performance Nova, the previous business, our clients used to come in and either through True Coach or paper, whatever they chose, they would have a completely individualized program written to them, their goals, that was handed off to them. And no two people in the gym were doing the same thing. So if we go back to limiting, I'm trying to think of how I had it up there, but basically allowing the coach to be more focused and not have their attention pulled in a million directions. This is best for everybody. We know that, because instead of having someone deadlifting over here and someone's doing squats over here and someone's brand new and needs help with everything over here, and this person's struggling to figure out a Turkish getup over here because everyone's got something written for them, and we were seeing 8 people an hour, it was hard to coach. And it was a huge facility, so it's not like people were real close together. With this, thematically, even though there are choices within there, thematically, everyone's doing the same thing. So it makes it much easier to manage the environment. And because everyone's working at the same time, the way that we set up the facility, the look of it, everything, it just was going to drive energy, and it was going to make it hard for anyone to just go through the motions when everyone around you is working their ass off. So Monday, some of our clients were very unhappy, and they let us know. And cool, like, it sucked. I won't lie to you. I had a really hard time sleeping Monday night. I was contemplating, like, do we just say, never mind, just kidding, this was all a big joke, undo. And obviously no, because it's like, even when I was having those thoughts, it was like, nope. Here's the big picture. You know that people are going to complain. We put so much thought into this that we actually went through and ran numbers of, hey, we could lose 25% of our client base and still be profitable at the end of this. And ultimately, we would have a business that would put people in a better position to be successful. And that would be better for everybody in the long run. So cool, we're ready to weather that. But here's what happened. One of the people that was very unhappy and let us know on Monday, Thursday morning, I finally got a chance to sit down and talk with her, because she said that she had some grievances basically that she wanted to air with me. And so we go to sit down, and she's like, honestly, most of my concerns and questions have been answered at this point by me just showing up and saying to myself, give it a chance. And she goes, previous to being with you guys, she's like, I actually went to Orange Theory. And I don't know if she was one of the ones that had said about the coaching at Orange Theory. But she goes, I actually went to Orange Theory. She was like, and on Monday morning, she goes, seeing that in her mind, this generic programming, she was like, I was concerned that you guys were becoming like an Orange Theory or just one of these group training programs, where it's just like hustle and bustle, and we were going to lose the quality, everything that we've come to love about Beyond Strength, which first off, I'm like, why would I put a decade of my life into building this to like completely destroy it? Like, would never do that. But I was just quiet, and I was like, okay. And she goes, but now just being 4 days in, and I did nothing to influence what I'm about to tell you that she said. She goes, I realize how much I love this. She's like, you guys have captured the energy of an Orange Theory fitness, and yet it's still Beyond Strength. Like, we're still strength training. We're still doing the things that are best for us. And she's like, so I'm all in. I really dig it. And essentially, she didn't straight up apologize for her attitude on Monday, but she kind of indirectly apologized for her attitude on Monday. And going back to we figured out that we could lose 25% of our clients. I don't know if we've lost any clients yet. We maybe have lost 2. If anyone's wondering, that's not 25% of our clients. We're going to be just fine. We're probably going to convert more people than I planned on, which is a great problem to have. But I want to talk about exercise selection. And then I want to talk about if you're not running small group personal training, you're like, this doesn't seem to apply to me. hang with me because you can still use this in one-on-one and a variety of different ways. So when it comes to exercise selection, you guys have probably heard of a one down, one up approach. And if you're going to run programming like this, you probably need more than one down, one up. So I'm not going to go nuts here and go through every single movement category, but let's look at the deadlift. So if I wanted to have folks deadlift and I was going to have a room, we're seeing 9 people an hour. We will never play the volume game where these other businesses that I talked about earlier need 20, 25, 30 people to a class. We're never going to play that game. We're going to see 9 people an hour. So, but if I have 9 people in a room and it's a day that calls for a loaded hinge, a deadlift, how can I get everybody in the best position to be successful? Well, we could have a pretty regressed version like you see here with a kettlebell deadlift. We could progress a kettlebell deadlift to a barbell RDL. If someone's good at barbell RDLs, a good progression from there is a rack pull, because first they know how to load into it eccentrically. Now they figure out how to create that tension from the bottom and start from a dead start, a deadlift, and maybe work their way towards the floor. Once they have competency with that, that person would be cleared to do hex bar deadlifts, right? So pretty good selection of deadlift variations there. But what if someone isn't ready to kettlebell deadlift? What if someone joins your program and they don't have the movement competency, the wherewithal to really figure out the deadlift yet? Could be that they're doing glute bridges and planks to figure out tension and tall and tight and how to use their hips, right? And we could build on things from there. It could be that they're not ready for the barbell, but just loading into a hinge eccentrically once they start to understand the glute bridge and the plank, that you have them doing kettlebell RDLs where they're starting from that tall position, they're reaching in tension, and they're driving back to the top. So essentially, in setting up, again, knowing that we're doing, it's kind of a hybrid of semi-private personal training, small group personal training that we're doing now. This is how we can see 9 people per hour and still put every single person in the best position to be successful. Not to mention our intake process would also work on kind of layering competency that they need to be successful from day one as well. So if you look at the board, I think that I had said this from the beginning. Right now, you see a green yellow program at the top, which is our beginner program. And you see a blue black program at the top. What those colors are is if you were on before we got rolling and Todd was talking about, we're kind of creating almost like a martial arts belt system for the gym. When people come in, they're green. What are you when you start something new? People say that you're green. So green. And then they progress towards yellow. Once they pass some of our first strength standards and capacity standards, they earn yellow status. Once they earn the next level, the blue strength standards and capacity standards, then they earn blue status. And then once they pass a pretty extensive menu of things that is very hard to do, I don't know if we have anyone that's there yet across the board. And that's by design. We want it to be something that people really aspire to reach. They can earn black status. Now, this week, we had 2 programs on the board, and already, like I said, 1 week into doing this, you can see that we started to do it on Friday. If you look at resilience on the far right here, it says green, yellow, but there's nothing below it. It's because after the 6 a.m. session, we decided to blend them. And that's what we're going to do across the board going forward. So what I want to do is zoom in here. And for today, you can look and see how things, if we go to green, yellow, B1 on the far left. So it's a split squat day. So the most regressed version that we have on here is a TRX assisted squat. So they're using the TRX to actually support some of their body weight. That could progress to, it's not a split stance, but a body weight squat. Which could progress to a goblet squat. Now, if they are passing the blue strength standards, then they could potentially go on and do a goblet split squat, or they could get into rear foot elevated split squat variations where we're recommending goblet, loading it with dumbbells, could even be a safety bar, or even if someone knows how to do cleans, like getting into double kettlebell, rear foot elevated front squats. Inverted, then below that, inverted row, chest supported dumbbell row. Above that, single arm TRX row, 3-point dumbbell row, single arm bent row. So you can see how we have a spectrum of choices that would allow someone who's newer and just figuring things out to still be able to come in and find things that they have the skill to train with some intensity with from day one, and someone that's been with us for a long time who has a very high level of movement competency to be able to get after some more advanced variations and train hard with those, right? And you can see all throughout the program. But this isn't just for the gym. So if you weren't on Todd's presentation, he talked about how we want to gift anyone that's here that's not currently a member of Strength Faction. We'd love to invite you in for a free month. So repeating that myself, but I also want to talk about another perk and a way that you can try this out of Strength Faction is obviously this is going to influence the way that I teach program design. And so what we did this current spring semester of Strength Faction is we brought this style of programming into Strength Faction and delivered it to all the members so that even though we're not teaching this across the board yet, they can begin to experience it, right? So I wanted to zoom in and show you a little bit cleaner. This is more what our clients are going to see. Now, this is a more advanced program. But thematically, this is the type of presentation that our clients are going to see starting Monday, March 29th. But there's also going to be the recommended number of rounds, which I know you might be thinking, hey, Chris, you said you're not giving your clients a number of sets anymore, and that's kind of a number of sets. It sort of is. The biggest thing is that we're no longer giving them a number of sets with a rather open-ended time frame. We're saying, hey, the goal in 6 minutes is 3 sets, right? So here you can see we have lower power, pick your poison, core, pick your poison. And then this one's written for people who need to improve hip mobility. So we have a hip mobility drill there. After they get through their A's on this given day, which is their power, they go into their strength. Just like the gym, a little bit different. Here you'll see that in week 3, it goes down to 12 minutes. In week 4, it goes up to 18 minutes. But it's these 15-minute blocks. And they have lower push. They have, just like we did for the deadlift, you'll see a wide range of options here. Although it does start a little bit more advanced because it's for coaches. And I'm guessing they probably have a pretty good level of movement competency and strength. Then there is a pull-up or chin-up progression that they could pick from, level 1, level 2, level 3, or regular chin-ups, pull-ups. And then a motor control drill for people that need to work on their hip mobility. After that, they're also progressing on to their assistance. You can see the time frame that's prescribed. You can see that we have a few choices under lower pull, and we have a couple choices under upper push. So this is how we, and a lot of this we've been doing outside of the time stuff, but this is how, even with Strength Faction, we've been writing programs since 2015 that are going out to, I don't know how many people at this point, but over 100 people each semester, that all of those individuals can still take a program and take their own pathway through it to accomplish what they want to accomplish and find a way to put themselves in the best position to be successful. So very similar to what we're doing in the gym. And even though we're not doing this in the gym on our main strength days, still showing it here, there's some conditioning. There's a conditioning finisher on the end of this first day of the week. So the rest of the program, I'm not going to go through quite as detailed, but basically on Tuesday, you can see I wanted to give an example of a conditioning day. They're going to do something for 5 minutes, A1, A2. They're going to move through that for 5 minutes. Then they're going to go through some fixed circuit, 4 to 5 rounds. In week 1, 30 seconds work, 30 seconds rest. So they would do 30 seconds of push-ups, rest 30 seconds, then 30 seconds of rocking crawl, rest 30 seconds, 30 seconds of farmer carries, rest 30 seconds, 30 seconds of rocking crawl on the other side, rest 30 seconds, go back to the top for whatever they chose, 4 to 5 rounds. And then they would finish off with just straight 2 minutes of frog rolls and go into their cool down. Then there's a backside to the sheet. The workout C is going to look a lot like our strength B did at the gym, except for there's a conditioning finisher on here, but timed power, strength, assistance, plus some timed conditioning. Then workout D, also timed, just 30 minutes, and it accumulates across the month and goes up. But just nasal breathing cardio. So now we're starting to get some of that aerobic base building and recovery work in here, plus some accumulation work. So throughout the day to accumulate 150 to 250 push-ups in sets of 5 to 10 at a time, as well as 20 to 40 pull-ups in sets of 3 to 5 at a time. So you're a trainer working in a gym throughout the day, just, between clients, pause, drop down on the floor, maybe knock out 10 push-ups, walk over to the pull-up bar, knock out 3 pull-ups. And the goal is by the end of the day to accumulate 150 to 250 push-ups and 20 to 40 pull-ups. And phase by phase, that number has kept going up this spring. And then the final day of the week is high intensity continuous training. And essentially what we've done is we've used the neural metabolic continuum, and we've spread all the stressors across the week. And again, we've done it in a way that folks can navigate this program kind of through their own path based around their goals, their strengths, the things that they need to work on, very similar to what we're doing in the gym. Now, maybe you're sitting here and you're like, all right, well, I'm not working in semi-private personal training or small group. Like, I don't really need all this one down, one up stuff. I don't know why in the world I would need to give my clients time stuff. And I hear you, but I have been doing this for, I don't know years anymore, 15 years, 16 years, I think 16 years this December, all I've been coaching. And my first 7 years were in one-on-one. And maybe some of you will relate with this. Now, this is from a presentation that I did in 2018, but I thought it was very applicable, especially if you're still in the one-on-one world. But the examples I'm going to show were still from semi-private personal training, and they were for a client who he was one of the guys that could always manage to turn what should be probably a 45-minute workout into a 2-hour workout. And I know when I was working in one-on-one personal training, a few different examples would be you'd have someone who it's like, all right, we've got goblet squats, and they have 8 reps and they do 2 reps. Great. But all of a sudden that 3rd rep, they pause at the top. They're like, did I tell you about when my friend, and you're like, and it's like, hey, let's keep going. But nothing seems to work with this individual. Like they're like, well, hey, I'm paying you, and they're ready to talk. Right. So that would be one example. Or you get that client who, let's go same example, goblet squat, 8 reps. And even if you give them tempo, you're like, hey, we want to take, about 3 seconds down, no pause at the top. We're going to pop up, take a second, and then we're going to repeat. Everything is just slow as molasses, and there's no getting this person to move faster. And you're like, ugh, right? And then you also get the one who just wants to talk to everyone in the gym around them. All of them are very frustrating. So I want to present, similar to what we just talked about with sets, things that we've been doing for years to help with this. So this, if you look at the very bottom, it says copyright 2015. So not new. This was one of our solutions. True story. All 3 of the solutions you're about to see are for the same exact client. But 3 different solutions that can help with keeping people on time, which can work in one-on-one, can work in small group personal training, and can work in whatever in the world you want to call what we're doing now, some type of a group training hybrid here. So if we look at his program, you'll see at the bottom that it says red equals 4 minutes per round, green equals 15 minutes total. Yes, every week. Sounds a whole lot like what we're doing today in the gym. So this is what we call our color-coded timed rounds. So here's how it looks. He's got double kettlebell cleans, kettlebell dead bugs, and a bretzel. So he does 5 double kettlebell cleans, 6 kettlebell dead bugs per side, 5 breaths on each side with a bretzel. And then however long that takes him to get through, when the timer, which is set to 4 minutes, beeps again, he's starting round 2, right? So if he's someone that's moving really slow and he sees, oh crap, like the 4 minutes is moving, like maybe this kicks his butt into gear. Or could be someone who's even moving too fast. And this is like, do not go again. You're going to wait until this thing beeps. So it's not just for slow clients, right? And then you can see he goes into his strength work. It says 15 minutes total. So that's a limit for the person that we wrote this for. It was a limit. For someone else, it could be telling them, hey, we need to stretch this across 15 minutes. Slow down. We're going to get 3 rounds in 15 minutes every single week, right? Well, the rounds are going to change. Then it goes back to his assistance work, 4 minutes per round, single leg RDL with landmine, 6 per side, double kettlebell overhead press, 6 reps. Every 4 minutes, you're back to the top in week 1 for 3 rounds. And then even his conditioning, 1 minute density, low handle sled push plus rope row. So that means every minute on the minute, he took a sled, low handles, pushed it out across the turf, the length of the rope, and then he ran down and hand over hand rode the sled back to himself, and he had the remainder of the minute to rest. And he repeated that for a total of 6 rounds. The other day is complimentary. I'm not going to go through and read off every single thing there, but you'll see that timing wise, I'll go back. You'll see that timing wise, it comes out to be the exact same thing. So even though his finisher on this day was 6 minutes, it was 6 rounds. It's only 3 rounds on this day, but you'll see that it was 1 minute of work, 1 minute of rest, which, oh, by the way, turns out to be 6 minutes. Whoops, wrong way. Now here's our second one. Same person, 2016. We're still looking for unique solutions to keep this dude moving. Honestly, it was working. It was just like, all right, let's mix it up and let's get him something a little bit different. So this one, we timed out the transition of each and every single exercise. So he had on this given program, max height overhead medicine ball throw into a plank walk back into jumping rope. So he would do 5 max height overhead medicine ball throws. Then he would go into his 6 plank walk backs and he would knock out 20 jumps at the jump rope. But there was a timer set, and it would beep every 30 seconds. So it would beep the first time he would do his 5 max height med ball throws. He would wait for the next beep. Then he would knock out 6 plank walk backs. He would wait for the next beep and he would knock out 20 skips with the jump rope. Next beep, he was back to the top, repeat for a total of 3 rounds. Then we went to his strength work and we were doing 1 minute densities. So he would knock out 8 double kettlebell split squats on each side in a minute. Then he would go into feet elevated inverted row, 8 reps, rest the remainder of the minute. Then he would go into windshield wipers, and he would do 6 per side. Not that it matters, but not the one where he's pulling his legs up and going side to side. This is a shoulder motor control thing. And he would do 6 per side on that, rest the remainder of the minute, and he was back to the top for 4 rounds. Then you'll see that his conditioning, he finished off 2 different things as a circuit. So it was 8, not quite 8 minutes, a little bit less, but he would do 20 seconds of kettlebell swings, rest 30 seconds, then 20 seconds of push-ups, rest 30 seconds, move through that for a total of 4 rounds. You'll see that this program, if you do the math, is very, very short. And I remember this one very particularly. It's because he was still managing on this. So I'll tell you the challenge of this. He was still managing to, sure, he took 4 minutes per round to do his reds. And then he would just be like, I don't know, like moseying around the gym, head off to the bathroom, somehow find 15 minutes before he started his 15-minute strength work. And it was like, well, that's not going to work, right? So on this one, when he came in, he's like, whoa, this is real short. Like, what are we doing here? It's like, well, yeah, because apparently you need 15 minutes between different things. This, I remember very particularly, this had him, he was like, no, I can get through like these transitions quicker. And when he was done with his A's, got into his B's, and essentially he earned more work with this. So the other day is complimentary to it, just like the other one, except for he finished off with an 8-minute finisher of 3 different things. So in 8 minutes, he would hit sled push by 10 yards, TRX face pull by 6, band tricep press down by 6. And he would just move through that however many times he got, keeping an RPE of 7 in mind in 8 minutes. Now the third one, it's going to look very familiar. It's going to look like what we did, what we're doing now in our gym. So this one you'll see copyright 2017. So 2015, that first one, 2016, the last one, 2017 is what now? 4 years ago? 4 years ago, we were doing in very limited amounts what we were doing for this guy. So it's everything we just talked about: timed power, strength, assistance, and conditioning. There are 8 minutes on the clock. You're going to do this barbell complex, 5 RDLs into 5 cleans into 5 front squats. Then you're going to knock out reverse leopard crawl for 10 yards. And then you're going to hit active bretzel for 6 reps on each side. And then You're going to go through however many rounds you get of that in 8 minutes. But of course, we were giving him a recommendation of how many rounds that should be. But this allowed him to get after it a little bit more. Again, he could mosey around on the transitions. So we want to be on him to, hey, we're done with that. Let's start cleaning up. Let's get set up, and let's try and keep that under 5 minutes. But 10-minute strength circuit, 6-minute assistance circuit, 4-minute conditioning. And then the other day would be complementary to that. 8 minutes of power, 10 minutes of strength, 6 minutes of assistance, and it looks like 4 minutes of his conditioning finisher. Apparently he really liked density, sled push, rope row. I don't know. But I wanted to present those as not just what we're doing in the gym today, but 3 other ways that you could apply this in all different settings. With that being said, I would love to hear what